Welcome to the Micronaut podcast. I am your host, Sergio Del Amo. The Micronaut podcast is a show to keep you up to date with the framework, learn about the different modules that the framework has, learn about the new content, and essentially engage with Micronaut. This week I don't have a guest with me, but I'm going to be covering one module that was introduced in Micronaut 3.3, which is Micronaut Mail. But before going into that, let's start with the agenda. For agenda, we have several things coming to us in March. We have two training events. We have one Micronaut Essentials, which is, if you want to think about it, kind of the Micronaut 101, where you will learn everything to get started with the framework. That is going to be taught by my colleague Zachary Klein. The dates for the training are March 7 to March 10, so it's 3 hours a day for 4 days, 12 hours total. And yours truly is going to be teaching Micronaut with AWS Lambda training. That's happening at the end of March. The same 4 days, 3 hours a day. That's March the 28th until March the 30th, actually 3 days only. And both are online. Registration is open, so if you're interested, please join us. I am also giving a talk on the Manchester Java user group. That's an online talk. Time is in the middle of the working day for us in Europe. So if you have a break for lunch, maybe you are able to join me, or you can have the talk on the background. If you are at work, I will include a link in the show notes as well. And Graham Roche, Micronaut co-founder, has several upcoming talks. He's going to be talking in JFocus and in J on the Beach. As with anything, we always have links to all these events in Micronaut resources events. That's the URL is micronaut.io/events. And I have been streaming on twitch.tv/MicronautFW each Tuesday and Thursday. I'm working a Micronaut application, which is now has some code already and I think it shows very well that Micronaut is blazing fast, not just for when you execute your application, but when you develop your application and when you test it. And if you are interested in joining me, please tune in every Tuesday and Thursday. With the agenda out of the way, we are going to move to Level Up. For Level Up, I wanted to talk about a class, another utils class that you may not be aware of, which is order utils. In Micronaut, you can inject a list of bins of a particular type, and those are injected order. And in the order is determined by, we have two things. We have an at order annotation, and we have an ordered interface. The ordered interface is a functional interface with just one method, which actually provides a default implementation. So it's really a pattern that is heavily used through the framework. For example, in the security module, the security rules are ordered, host resolvers are ordered, and almost everywhere where you have bins of type, they are ordered. So if you want to have this pattern in your applications, you can just remember to use the ordered interface. And if you, for whatever reason, need to order a list of bins which comply to this pattern, you can use the order util class. So check it out. Never lose the order in a Micronaut application. For the main section, I wanted to talk about Micronaut Email. Micronaut Email is a new module which I worked a lot in the development, and it was released in Micronaut 3.3. The idea is that now it's easy for you to send emails from a Micronaut application, and by emails I mean the typical transactional email that you send when, for example, a user finishes a purchase in your e-commerce application, or when a user's registered, or when a user needs to receive a notification. Those kind of transactional emails. We have integrations with Amazon Simple Email Service. We have integrations with SendGrid, which is a really well-known transactional email provider, which was bought by Twilio a couple of years ago, I believe. We have also support for Mailjet, and we have support for Java Mail. So, for example, if you want to use your Gmail account to send the emails, you could use the Java Mail support for that. Depending on the provider that you choose, some of them, such as Postmark or SendGrid, you're going to have to set in your configuration the API token that is necessary. For simple email service from Amazon, we support, we use Micronaut AWS, and thus you can this injects the simple email service client, which it will get injected if the instance where your application is running has the IMN role with access to simple email service, or if you are running your application and you have your access key ID and access secret key as environment variables or system properties, or if you are running locally, if you, for example, have run AWS configure and you are logged into an AWS account with the necessary permissions to run simple email service, you will be able to run it without problem. For Java Mail, you may need to supply you will have to create a mail properties provider, a bin-of type mail properties provider and session provider. For configuration, this will depend on your application, but it's easy if you want to check in the project. So we are actually testing the project using a Gmail account that we set up, and what we are doing is we are sending the emails, and then we are logging into the Gmail account and checking if the email is there. We support sending emails with HTML emails, text emails, emails with attachments. We support one really nice feature that is decorators. The idea, for example, I will actually ship with one by default, which is if you want all your emails to be sent from the same email address, you can specify this email address in configuration, and that will be used. This is powered by this thing that I was saying that is called decorators, and the idea is that imagine if all the emails that you send from your applications, you want to add a BCC contact, you want to add a blind carbon copying contact, because you want to forward those emails as well to your contact management system. You could do that. Or imagine if you want to add in the title, in the subject of the email, you want to add something like pre-prod or staging when you are sending emails in the staging environment. You could absolutely do that. So that's really simple. The decorator is just another functional interface which you can implement and create a bin of that type, and you can have many decorators in your application. How you will get started? You will essentially have to add the dependency for the particular email implementation that you want to use, and then you will inject in your bins the type email sender. The email sender, you can it has two generics. You can qualify with the request and the response. The reason for that is that you may want, for example, so we have like a generic builder. So the email sender has a method called send, and you will have like a builder where you build the email, like something like email from this email address to this email address with this subject and this body. Sometimes we have another method which is send. It takes the builder, but it takes also a consumer. So some implementations, for example, the Postmark implementation has a feature which allows you to add like a tag to each emails that you send. So for those things, what you can do is you can use the second method, which is this one which takes a consumer. You will get the request populated with the common things from email, and then you can send these custom features for your for this particular provider. And the same for the response. If you sometimes you need to get hold of the response, and because, for example, in Amazon Simple Email Service, you probably want to save the mail ID, because when you get like a bounce or your email is flagged as spam, you are going to get a notification. You can either get it in a Lambda function, or you can get it in an email, and you are going to get the best way to correlate the email that you send to that notification is to use this email ID. So if you need to capture the response and the request, you can do that. If you don't need it, then you can just use email sender with 2 question marks and send the email easily. The same for attachments. You can set an attachment easy. We have one cool feature, which is we integrate with Micronaut views as well. So you could, if you are sending HTML emails, you could render, for example, the HTML email using the same technology that you use for Micronaut views to, for example, create a Micronaut application which responds server-side HTML. And this allows you, for example, to have a template for your transactional email where you have like an unsubscribe placeholder, maybe the name of the user placeholder, and you can essentially render that template into an HTML that you can send. If you have never worked with HTML emails, that's another story. Designing an email is like designing a website in the 90s with transparent tables and all way of styling the email, but you should be in good hands with Micronaut because it integrates seamlessly with the Micronaut Views module, and I think this should give you like a good head start. We have 2 guides to show you the integration, and we will be adding more. We have one guide for sending emails with Amazon Simple Email Service, and another one with SendGrid, and I will be probably writing one with Postmark, Java Mail, and MailJet. So stay tuned in guides.micronaut.io. That will be coming soon. And with the main section out of the way, let me move to sponsors. This podcast episode is possible thanks to the Micronaut Foundation sponsors. We have the ambassador sponsor, which is Object Computing, which have also Safri.net, which is a bronze sponsor, and we have also Visor Games, which is a bronze sponsors. Then we have Gradle Enterprise as our tools and infrastructure partner. So many thanks to all the corporate sponsors for making this episode possible. We have another kind of sponsorship, which is the community sponsorship, and that's thought for individuals who wish to sponsor the foundation. We have several individuals who have already supported the foundation, those as Corbinian Bach, Philip Eisenbach, Hassan Muhyiddin, Jason Silder, Jeff Scott Brown, Gis Loisnek, Lucas Moraches, James Weiss, Goran Erson, Danilo Marquez, Edgar Rios Navarros, Robert Elfenbaum, Andrew McKee, and Balara Surramanias Regansami. So thanks a lot for all of you for supporting the foundation. If you want to support the Micronaut Foundation, just visit micronaut.io/foundation and you will find all the information there. Before wrapping the podcast, I want to talk about new material that we have been publishing to Micronaut Guides. So if you go to guides.micronaut.io, we have there all the guides, and we have published recently several new guides, especially around using a MySQL database with Micronaut Data JDBC. And the nice thing is that we have been publishing guides that illustrate how to create a MySQL database in different cloud providers. So we have a guide which illustrates how to create a MySQL database in Oracle Cloud, a MySQL database in GCP, a MySQL database in Azure. We have another one for AWS, which is not published but is in PR. It will be published soon. You can consume all of those databases with a Micronaut Data JDBC application that we have in the guide, and shows you how to do that. Really easy, really powerful to host your database on the cloud, because that way you don't have like to maintain the server for where the database is running. Most cloud vendors have like kind of a they keep care of maintaining the machine where the database is running, and you just create the database and abstract it away. We have also another guide about deploying a Micronaut application to Google Cloud Compute. So if you are working with GCP, we have already several Google Cloud guides, which may be of interest. We have one with this latest one for Google Cloud Compute, but we have also one with App Engine. We have another one for Cloud Run, and this one for the MySQL database running on GCP. So please check them out. And that's all that I have for today. Thanks everyone for listening to the podcast. We see each other in 2 weeks with a longer episode, and keep using Micronaut and keep being awesome. Thank you everyone.